My name is Dave Wood. I'm the Programme Director for Graphic Design at Duncan & Jordanson College of Art and Design in the University of Dundee. Okay, so I'll just give you some background about Duncan & Jordanson itself in University of Dundee, in the beautiful city of Dundee itself. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you about graphic design. Just give you some context as I come to talk about Duncan & Jordanson, about the UK creative industries in general and the value of a degree in graphic design. Now, obviously, this is UK centric, but I won't go into great depth about it all, but you can see lots of revenue to countries in general. So graphic design role, if you just focus on the center rather than all the facts and figures around it, you can see that we have data there about advertising, publishing, design and fashion, film and TV, music, arts and culture, IT software and games. Where is graphic design and all that, you might ask? Graphic design is work in all those different areas. So graphic design itself is a position of trust within lots of other creative industries. So there's plenty of scope out there for employment for graphic designers across the world. Okay, so DJCAD's reputation. We're one of the top 10 universities for art and design. We have the University of the Year for Student Experience and one of the UK's top 20 universities in general. And we've been awarded the gold in the UK Teaching Excellence Framework. So that's just a little bit of background about who we are as a reputation academically. But what Duncan & Jordanson is really famous for is the quality of students that graduate from us, because they have, obviously this year has been a very unprecedented year with COVID and lockdown, but in general, we have lots and lots of facilities within the art college itself that are specific to programs, but also can be accessed by different degrees. So what we usually have is selective modules in third year where students can choose, while doing their graphic design degree, to go and opt into somebody else's module and experience some of the different facilities that are out there in the university. But I'll talk about that as we come into it. So graphic design in Duncan & Jordanson, what do we do? It's about visual communication. It's about learning how to use typography and image in combination with each other, critical ideas on how to communicate messages to people. So on the course, we engage all the way through from the first year of the course, which is level 2, to third years, to fourth years, the final year. And we get students to think critically about the work. We get them to create research-led ideas. And to then achieve those ideas, we look into areas of graphic design like typography, branding, motion, editorial design, publishing, interactions. So we covered all of those parts of it, but the fundamental focus is on crafting your visual communication and then using whatever technique you define as a student that you want to then maybe specialize more in. So I won't read all of this out, but the main aims, you can see it on the screen, is to get students fully engaged in communication design and visual communication and crafting those skills. Because what we want to deliver into the marketplace at the end are students who are agile and flexible in their working patterns. And this last year has certainly made students more flexible and agile, because everybody has had to learn how to do graphic design remotely on screen because of COVID. But also the people that they're going to go and ask for a job have also had to learn how to do that on the fly. So the transferable skills that the students get on the course in a COVID year and in a non-COVID year are really what the industry is asking for. So we really pride ourselves on that. But we also want them to have a deep knowledge of what they're doing and a contextual knowledge of why they are designing. So we try and foster creative thinking, production, specific skill sets, and cultural awareness. And we have lots of team working within the program, because ultimately graphic designers, the majority will be working in a team and when they go into the real world of employment. Organizational skills, professional practice, all of those transferable skills are embedded in our students. But a lot of our process is research-led. So research-led teaching, and also research-led design process that the students themselves develop. So they can develop that process in their own flair, they can go their own way about it, but the process is really important, because that's what gives them the flexibility and to be agile and to put the creative thinking into practice. Okay, so mode of study, it's an undergraduate degree. If you bring into the foundation year, 4 years. The graphic design degree is actually 3 years. You can direct entry at level 2. So it goes level 1 foundation, which is general foundation. Students then can specify, I want to specialize in graphic design, and then come on to our level 2 and meet other students who come directly in at level 2 as well. And then graphic design goes level 2, level 3, final year, level 4. Level 3 is the BDes year. Technically, students can graduate with just an ordinary BDes Bachelor of Design qualification at the end of level 3. We encourage everyone to stay on for the final year, which is the honours year, so that they can all graduate not only with a BDes honours, but more importantly, that extra year of experience in designing, which will make them even more employable. And I'll talk about some of our successes at the end. So as I say, assessments for the degree at Dundee Johnson across 4 years, including foundation, is on portfolio. Every module that the students do, every year, a core module and a theory module in each semester. And each of those is 100% on the work that is produced. So we don't have exams or anything like that as part of our assessments. It is on the work itself. And the work is on the deliverables, that the brief we set the students to do, we mark on that. So we mark them on research, we mark them on ideas, we mark them on developments, and we mark them on the final design. And in that, it's about pushing the students at each level to actually understand their design process and achieve more and more and more. So teaching and learning in non-COVID years, it takes place on our great campus. And this is a great shot of the DJCAD building. DJCAD was an independent College of Art and Design originally, and it as a lot of independent art colleges in the UK then partnered up with their local university. So it's now DJCAD, Dundee Johnson, College of Art and Design, University of Dundee. So we are validated by the University of Dundee. We are now one of their schools within Dundee, and I am in the Department of Communication Design. So graphic design, animation, and illustration are all partnered together. So we're all come under the same area of Dundee Jordanston. We have libraries, we have workshops for the students in like the campus. So it's not just that building, there's the building next door where graphic design is held. That's the main reception area. So just to give you a quick breakdown of the structure of the degree, the 3 areas, level 2, level 3, level 4 in bold, are the graphic design degree itself. In slightly grayed out is the foundation. So if we have students, international students, they usually join us at level 2 and then proceed level 2, level 3, level 4. But depending on qualifications, you know, students can enter at different times. This year, just gone, 2 Chinese students on joining us at level 4, and then they are going to progress from level 4 into a master's year. So there's lots of different options there that I'm pretty sure University of Dundee have talked to you all about, which I won't cover. But just the general gist of this is we have in each year two core graphic design modules that me and my team teach the students. The ones that are slightly grayed out are the theory modules. So in level 2, we have Design Context 1, Design Context 2, which is the theory that underpins idea generation and communication and structure and narrative modules. And then level 3, we have Communication Design Practices, Applied Communication Design. They're the two core graphic design semester modules. And then we have Expansive, Alternative Futures, Professional Practice Seminars, which is the more theoretical and the more instructive parts of the degree. And then finally, in the 4th year, we have one long 2-semester core module where students engage in industry project, and they then engage in 3 major projects. And those 3 major projects might be competition briefs, or they, as a student, might write their own assignments to do. Level 4 is essentially helping the students decide what type of graphic designer they want to be and whereabouts in the industry they want to place themselves, and then spend the year doing projects that's going to help them get that type of employment or further education, continuing onto masters if that's what they desire. Students also write a dissertation, and that's the Alternative Futures 2 module. So I mentioned before, I won't read all of these out by any means, but I mentioned before that in level 3, students can opt to select a module from elsewhere within Duncan & Johnson or even University of Dundee. And some of those modules in the first semester of their level 3, are everything from art, science, and visual thinking, to comic art and graphic novels, to myth, mystery, and meaning, language and cultural appreciation, all of these different things to help expand the students' contextual knowledge of culturally working as a graphic designer. The contextual modules that they do in level 3 prepare the students for their dissertation. So all the hard work of thinking is done in level 3. All the hard work of writing is essentially done in level 4. There's writing in level 3, obviously, but the dissertation isn't written until level 4. We also have an extra 10-credit module called Work Placements, which is done in the summer between level 3 and level 4. And in that, my colleague on the course, Colin Rayburn, he runs that module, and he places through the goodwill of design companies all around the UK, depending on where students want to go, roughly about a 2-week placement. Now, obviously with COVID this year, a lot of that is done remotely via the screen. And so we've got a lot of alumni from the university in industry, but we've also got a lot of other design companies wanting to work with us. And I'll talk about that in an upcoming slide. The placement module, as I say, we have, just some of these here are some of the places that we've had students, but I've got a few more little small case studies to talk about in a minute. And here's one of them. So London-based Carcamassa got in touch with us last summer because just as COVID hit and everyone was getting locked down and the students graduated from the previous year, they employed one of our graduates. They'd never really had Duncan & Johnson on their radar because they're London-based and we're Scotland-based, but we're above Edinburgh. They were so impressed with their new employee, ex-graduate, that they got in touch and they wanted to know more about us and also engage with us. And so Sanjay and Adam there, they basically wrote us an industry brief for our 4th years as they started their 4th year. We ran it for the first 3 weeks, and it was for the UK charity, the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, RNLI. And if I go to the next slide, I think, we see here one of the students, one of the 4th year students who did this project. And this particular student and 5 others were shortlisted into Carcamassa, then taking their work to RNLI. So that's still pending right now, but it was a great experience for the students to work straight away with a London-based award-winning design agency. And that's just one example so far of what we do. Just to give you a bit of the ethos behind how we teach students, we come at it from a student point of view counterintuitively, because as soon as they come on the course, we dare them immediately to fail. Because what we try and get the students to figure out is the fact that their first idea isn't going to be the solution. We get the students to really engage in the critical thinking, the research-led design ideas. And those ideas are simply that to begin with, ideas that may or may not work. You won't know it's going to work until you do more with those ideas and start to see which of those ideas are going to actually be fruitful, that can then develop into the concept that will then eventually become the final deliverables in a design project. So we sum this up as dare to fail, and that always shocks the students, but then gets them thinking, because by doing development work, you're failing all the time. You're testing ideas, some ideas work, some ideas don't, and they discover why things don't work, and then more importantly, discover which ones will work. And they're the ones that they then take forward to the final design outcomes. So it's just a way of getting students immediately to think about, okay, I've got to think this through. I've got to dare myself to fail, give myself permission to work on developing ideas, and then find the right ideas through research, which is the ones that's going to be the most successful. And we do that through getting the students to engage in a lot of sketchbook work, generating ideas on paper, keep students away from the computers as much as possible until the computer can do what they want it to do rather than what the computer will do for them. So I'm just going to show you a range of student work. We're currently in assessment periods right now, so I'll have a whole new raft of work next year to show you if you want to do this again next year. So let's move forward. So within the student work, we obviously engage the students to think about the type of designer they want to be, whether or not it's a designer who wants to work in a studio, commercial studio, or a designer who wants to work more as social side of things, or somebody who wants to work in advertising, or somebody who wants to work in publishing, or somebody who wants to become more community-based with their work. All of these things are open to graphic design students because it's about design process, design thinking, research-led ideas. So here you can see a bit more commercial packaging, merchandise type of graphic design. And you can see in this project, the CME project was a collaborative project with not just graphic designers, but designers from DJCAD in general, all coming together into a multidisciplinary team. And you can see them all in pre-COVID days, working round tables in Duncan and Jordanston, collaborating with each other on this one. So we have traditional type of approaches for graphic design, for advertising, for campaigns, for branding. These are all areas that graphic designers can actually involve themselves in. Branding, logo design. So we have the logo, but also the typography that goes with that, the color coding of it, the application of it into a campaign. All of those things are the things that we do. We have motion. Can you hear that sound okay? So Duncan and Jordanston graphic design, we have a reputation for typography. Within graphic design, there's typography, and students can specialize in that. And I'll talk a bit more about what happens about that in fourth year. But you can see from this piece of motion, it's typographical in its aesthetic, its view, etc. But it brings in lots of other skills within that.
Morphine. Man, that really slowed my thinking down. I felt like I was one of the normal people now. This is how everyone else must feel. But every time I'd be doing something, sort of like, I will do pot, but I won't do coke. I will do coke, but I won't do crack. I will do crack, but I won't do opiates. I will do opiates, but I won't inject. But I kept on changing the goalposts. It was temporary relief. And it kept getting shorter and shorter. I was hopeless. I was powerless. I felt like I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. But I could. And I did.
So again, another typographical piece, but within that, it's got a social message. So it's not just trying to sell something, it is actually trying to give something back to community. So graphic designers, as I say, can work across all these areas. Just to give you a little segue before I move on about the motion side of things, this last year in third year, where the motion started to come into the students' work, we teamed up with a UK-based humanities festival called Being Human. There was an exhibition involved in that. And this year, the theme was on the Great Moon Hoax of 1835, which was a hoax, the first fake news happening in New York. So we challenged third year students to tell a lie convincingly about the moon. And in little teams, students came up with videos for that. So let's come back next year to see what those videos are, and did an exceptional job for that. But if you Google Being Human Dundee, find their YouTube channel, you can see the videos on there that the students did. Off the back of that, we managed to put together two students from two different teams for a job that came in, a live commercial job that came in, but didn't know how to make animation. Then did a information film for parents of autistic children, and did an exceptional job for that. So just from these little things that they learn on the course are almost immediately applicable to live paid work. So that was an open call put out to students who were interested in motion, and those two students were shortlisted and then got that position. So as and when anything like that comes in, that is a fee-paying job, that is a decent fee-paying job, we will put to the students, and students can then take that on while still studying. Okay, so moving forward, we also cover editorial design. It really got quite a good reputation for typography. There are, in fourth year, design competitions that all university students take part in, where they can, the winners can then get an award and even employed from that. One of those is the International Society for Typographic Design, ISTD. And this is an additional, it's not a competition in the results that you win something. It's a competition that if you do win, you've earned the actual fellowship of a set of international typographic designers who award industry title to the students. So if students enter the competition in fourth year and win the competition, they not only leave with a BDes honours degree at the end of the fourth year, but they also can put ISTD after their name, which ranks them up as typographic designers, recognised typographic designers, rather than just graphic designers. Not every graphic designer wants to be a typographic designer, but we have that there. So we've got a good reputation this year. So watch this space. Hopefully we're going to have quite a few with that. So you can see here, a past entry of typographic design for the ISTD competition in book form. This year it's all been digital because obviously of COVID, but we have beautiful things. So we have book press design in the facilities in Dundee, Jordanston, where students can engage with the facility to learn how to actually bind books and make books, and then obviously design the contents for the books. But you can see here, a branding project, including the sketchbooks, like bottle designs, label designs, all based around a lighthouse brand. And it's about the story that the design tells across all these different formats. This is the type of thing that we instill in students a lot early, level 2 into level 3, level 4, to help them craft how through the manipulation of typing imagery, the visual communication of the idea can tell a story across all these different formats, for their clients. More importantly, to their client's audience. This was a winner of the Design and Art Direction Yellow Pencil. This is a beautiful little campaign about exploring the ethnicity of British people, famous British people, like here J.K. Rowling, the Queen, actor Idris Elba, David Attenborough. So famous British people exploring where their ethnicity came from, and also using these cloth labels, the information labels that you find in your clothes, and the texture of the clothes themselves. Now, the UK is a multinational country. The fibre of its people have come from all over the world, over generations. You can see in the little circle at the very bottom, it gives the composition, not of the fabric, but of the genetics of 37% English, 21% Finnish, 16th German, 12th Croatian, 8% Turkish, and 5% other. And that's David Attenborough. So moving on, student work. This is collaboration between illustration and graphic design. So the illustration degree and graphic design. This was a cookbook. They collected a lot of recipes. The illustrators did the illustrations, and a graphic designer, in this case, Craig Morrison, who graduated in 2016. He, as a third-year student, took on the art direction of this book, put this book together, coordinated with the illustrators, and did the design, got other designers on board to help make the book, and got the book, and then they sold it, and then they raised money off the back of selling the book and that. What Craig says here is really quite a good example of students on Dunkley Johnston. As he says, I was made creative director and ended up coordinating the production of the whole book. To say I was in my elements is an understatement. I absolutely loved putting the book together, even if it was a little stressful at times. I learned more about myself during this time than I have ever before. So Craig was slightly more mature than other students. He came in maybe 4 years older than everybody else, but he took on this role and coordinated it and learned more about himself. But that's just a really important thing about the students, learning more about themselves, not just learning graphic design, but learning more about themselves and the type of designer they want to be to then enter the job markets after that. So where are they now? It's just a few examples of some of the alumni who we have in the from Dunkley Johnston. Well, here's Craig again and his wife Marina, and both of them went from Dunkley Johnston in 2014 and worked their way up through different routes in London, from junior designer to creative directors, essentially, before joining back up together again and setting up their own agency, and then working at that agency mainly for the fitness industry, as graphic designers for the fitness industry. Marina and Craig also got back in touch with us this year, this summer, and I mentioned earlier about the professional development talks. Well, we set up talks on Thursday afternoons every 2 weeks, mainly for third years, but also for final year students to come in on. And what we have is the fact that we have people who've been in industry, not always graduates from Dunkley Johnston, but people who've been in industry who then want to give something back to the next generation coming through. And they were only meant to talk to us for about 45 minutes because obviously they're busy people. 3 hours later, they were still answering questions to the students, and they loved it. They could give something back. Students loved it because here's people who have done what they're about to do. And we've got like a whole list of different designers from, not just Dunkley Johnston graduates, but designers in the UK, design agencies who are more than willing to give their time to talk on a particular subject to our students and give the benefit of experience to them. Here's David McGovern, who was employed by Carcamassa, very typographically minded. David McGovern is now a successful junior designer at Carcamas, has been working there for just nearly a year now. They love him so much so that Carcamassa, who never really recruited from Duncan and Jordanston before, knew of us, but never really thought about looking at our graduates, are now in talks with us because they've got maybe 1 or 2 positions they want to fill, and they're coming to Duncan and Jordanston first. Out of all the universities in England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, they're coming to Duncan and Jordanston first because they've got their eye on at least 6 students who they want to shortlist to see if they're going to be employed. So this is the type of reputation that Duncan and Jordanston has across the UK. David Govern's a good example of that. Jack Rennick on the left-hand side there in the stripy red top is another graduate from Duncan and Jordanston from way back. But she now runs the Jack Rennick studio. And Rosie McGowan on the top right there, graduated in 2015. She's now Jack's senior designer, and Jack very kindly took part in our recent professional development session in a panel discussion about setting up a design studio, because at the end of level 3, the last project of level 3, what we do is we get our level 3 students to set themselves up as design agencies. I think this year we had about 14 design agencies, anything between 2 and 5 students, brand themselves as a design agency, and then they did 1 of 2 live briefs, real briefs, set by 2 design agencies in Glasgow. 2 design agencies in Glasgow wrote bespoke briefs for our level 3 students, like Carcamassa did for our level 4 students. And the students then worked as a design agency to actually finish and complete that given brief, that live brief. It was for a real client. Real client came in to talk to them about it. There's potential there with additional funding that, you know, the winning agency can then, you know, continue that work. So at end of level 3, before coming into level 4, we get the students refocusing professionally about setting up as an agency, working as designers, junior designers, creative directors, etc., on live projects set by industry people who want to write briefs for Duncan and Jordanston. Okay, and that's my last slide. So thank you very much for listening to me so far. As I say, I'm Dr. Dave Woods. I'm the Programme Director for Graphic Design. I'm just going to move on to swapping personalities for a minute. I'm just going to talk you through a case study from one of my students about her experiences. Now, she's not going to join us this morning, but I can talk through her slides and that. So she's a level 4 student right now. She, up to the end of, or the beginning of level 4, she got elected to become the student president for Duncan and Jordanston. So just want to introduce Chivo. She, as I say, very active in the student experience. So what we see here in the first slide, she would talk about the student experience of being in the studios. So these are just, like, you know, 2 shots of the studios. We have an entire floor of studios plus another studio elsewhere. So in a non-COVID year, it would all be studio based. Students working away on a table, attending a lecture within a studio. These are the 2 smaller studios. There's a big expansive studio just across the hall there. We haven't got. Again, talking about facilities, everything from silkscreen to media centers to textiles, ceramics, photography, green screening. All of these are obviously available to the students. Obviously, it's not a free-for-all because we've got lots of students and only small amounts of facilities. So you have to be inducted into the space you want to go into as a student. And then once inducted, you can access that studio, you know, out of teaching time. So the facilities of the university are open, you know, beyond the 9 to 5 teaching day. So students, as I say, about managing their time, can book into any of these facilities once they've been inducted into those facilities. Okay, so as a student in Duncan and Jordanston, there are lots of different opportunities to get involved in societies, to get involved in, you know, the student life beyond the degree, meet friends from elsewhere, And this is what Chivo really got involved in. She's known all over the university, not just within her graphic design cohort. She joins the Students' Union, Sports Union, the media, Fibre, Jam, Tay, radio, and all these other things. She got involved in some capacity, either being interviewed or being part of that across the board. So she, as a student, encourages our students to engage, or prospective students, to not just engage in the degree, but also wider than that, engage in the student life of Dundee itself. So her experience, this is she itself. These are all the things that she got involved in: the radio station, the magazine, the student magazine, alongside doing her degree. So she's picked up on a lot of all these other skills that she sees as not just something enjoyable to do while being a student, but transferable skills as she graduates as a graphic designer, because now she can go into design management with these skills if she wanted to. So there's all kinds of different routes for graphic design graduates to go in, not just somebody who designs on a screen all day, or somebody who works in a studio all day, or in a workshop all day, but somebody who might be the person who sets up a new design studio, new design agency. All these different scopes are possibilities. Yeah, so it's an academic university degree. So, obviously we've got that, but as value added to that, we have in level 3, where students gain understanding really what it is that they want to do as a designer. In that year, in the second semester, we engage industry people to come in, and we have professional development talks on lots of different subjects that prepare students for industry. Everything from setting up a design agency to how to get work, how to put a portfolio together. All of these different types of subjects we cover in the development talks with industry people. We also have throughout the year, and this happens in second year as well, as and when things happen, we try and partner up with competitions and festivals and things like that. So, as I say, we had the Being Human Festival. They want to work again with us and illustration this coming academic year. The students in third year who produce video of Tell a Lie Convincingly, they are up on the festival website for Being Human Dundee. So you can Google that and find their YouTube channel and see the videos there. But in the end of the level 3, so in the last 6 weeks of that, the students engage in a agency project where they set themselves up in 2s to 5s, students per agency, brand their own design agency, and then they get briefed by a real live, semi-live brief from 2 graphic design agencies. They wrote the briefs for the students. They worked on that. The clients was facilitated by the 2 design studios, talk to the students about what their desires was. So it was a good sort of introduction into how an agency will work. Then at the beginning of level 4, we have a industry project. This year was written by Carcamassa. They've expressed interest in writing again next year. Hopefully we'll have another Carcamassa brief from them, 3-week project, working and presenting directly to the directors of Carcamassa on behalf of a client. So we got that experience. And then in final year, 3 major projects that they do. They could be competition briefs, could be ISTD brief, where if they win that, they get ISTD after their name. Design art direction, DNAD, can win a yellow pencil. And that prepares the students to go forward into industry. And we have a lot of industry people working in the graphic design agencies in many different ways, who are interested in employing our graduates. That's sort of the minimum that we would ask of an agency, because 2 weeks, first week settle in, second week get into it, and then it's over. But a lot of design agencies ask for at least a month from us. One student this year is going to take a year out because they've managed to get an internship in a big recognizable company, and they've taken her on for an entire year. Competitions themselves are set in level 4 anyway. Once the competitions are announced, each competition has maybe about 10 briefs in each category, 8 to 10 briefs. So there's a lot of different competition briefs that you can do within each competition. So that's all sort of like tied into our level 4. But before that, festivals and other opportunities, they come along as and when somebody gets in touch with us that has something viable, and it's those opportunities come by. Where we can, we try and place those opportunities within a brief, within a module, so the students can work on it as part of the module. But there are some opportunities that come along, like the motion graphic video in January. That was a paid job. That there was funding attached to it. There was money already there. They just needed the motion graphic done. That was put out as a call. Anybody interested in motion, get in touch. Okay, please attend this meeting. And then the meeting was, okay, who wants to do it? Okay, you two want to do it. You go forward, meet the client, and then work with the clients. So we try and make it as fair as possible. So we don't cherry pick students. We try and give it an open call. And then within that, we try and make the experience of the students match the real world experience of several people going for the same job. And there might only be, obviously 1 or maybe 2 people who will be successful within that. What we do in Duncan and Jordanston is try and nurture the students' experience, not just up to graduation, but try and prepare them to propel them into the real world beyond that. And as you can see from some of the stories I've mentioned, we have a lot of graduates from Duncan and Jordanston from all over the years who are really passionate about their home university. We encourage that with our outreach to industry. And, we've got other industry like Carcamassa, no connection with Duncan and Jordanston, who want to work with us. I was just answering an email yesterday from another Glasgow-based agency who have just advertised for a junior designer, and they've come directly to Duncan and Jordanston.
Thank you, Dave, so much for doing this in the morning, early morning from Dundee.
Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dave, so much.
Thank you.